Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Much Obliged podcast. If you could like, subscribe, share the video, that would be massively helpful. And if you could follow us on all of our social media accounts, that would be brilliant as well.
We're also starting a Patreon, so the link for everything will be below. So the Patreon will have extra stuff, and if you could subscribe to that, then we don't have to. We can do more stuff because we'll have more money. And we won't have to do the shit we don't like doing to get money. So that'd be much obliged if you could do that.
Yeah, much obliged. Hello and welcome to the Much Obliged podcast with me, Kieran Lawless, the fantastic Dom Hatton-Woods, and our wonderful guest for the next hour, Bobby Murdock. Bobby, hello and welcome to the Much Obliged podcast.
I'm very, this is good, isn't it? This is nice, isn't it?
I hope so.
In a fucking
Happy
dungeon.
to be here.
I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't know if I'm going to make it out alive of this fucking place.
No, we've got you cornered. There's a reason we sat you there.
I feel like I've been brought here under false pretenses.
Yeah, that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
we brought a lot of people into our podcast.
You're actually the first, because we've now set a theme of talking about like true crime films.
Right.
We've not done this before.
Okay.
Because I want to have a thing, you see. We've never had a thing. And the thing was, I wanted to play board games on the podcast.
Connect 4 would smash that, but that's about it. Connect 4 would smash that.
Yeah,
my dad used to cheat at Connect 4. When we were kids, he'd just go
constantly connecting 5 just to be a prick.
Well, he'd just go, there you go. And before you could count the 4s, he'd just fucking drop it.
I mean, that's not even good cheating. It's not even clever. No. It's not even clever. Well, that's basically like saying, oh, I cheated chess by going, chess, mate, and then just whacking it, just smashing everything up.
Well, that wouldn't have been acceptable on this podcast, Bobby.
Well, we would have. That's why we would have recorded it. We weren't recording it to be funny or banter. It would just be like evidence.
Raise awareness.
About whether or not people actually had 4. Just like one person go, oh, I've done it. Gadunk. You'll be like, no, we're going to watch that back. Stop the tape. Stop the tape, guys.
Now we're trying true crime, and it could go. We could change it next week, but for the now,
there's yeah.
But the question
was because I watched a film called The Craigslist Killer.
Yeah,
and he killed one person
off Craigslist.
Well, yeah, he would go on Craigslist because there was like prostitutes on that one.
It's a terrible film,
and he'd robbed them, but then he killed one, and he got caught in like 3 weeks. Why was that made? Why was that made on TV?
And it was made into a film.
Yeah. It's not that impressive, is it?
That's like the Yellow Pages killer, isn't it? It's fucking like the
He doesn't know what the Yellow Pages is.
The Yellow Pages.
I'll laugh because everyone else is. But
you have to be a certain vintage, mate, don't you?
I know, but that's one of those things that you actually forget that young people have no idea what it is.
Well,
because it was so omnipresent.
But you're a young person. How old are you?
How old are you? I'm 40.
Late?
No, 44.
Okay. You're not an old person then.
No, but you just feel it, don't you? I think what it is, I think my generation I'm typical getting older because people like me feel as though you cunts know nothing. That's all it is. Yeah. We just feel as though you know nothing.
Well, probably
and then when you're 44, you'll go, they know nothing nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that's because they don't know what the Yellow Pages is. And that seems like such a...
Why would I know what the Yellow Pages is?
Yeah, exactly. You'll be like that.
What that is.
You'll be like that to kids when you're our age going, in my day, we had Snapchat.
That'd be about an iPhone, though.
Yeah, but that is what it will be. Someday you will say to somebody, oh, yeah, I remember my iPhone used to have, and they'll look at you and go, what the hell's an iPhone?
We didn't have
go,
holograms.
Wait a second, what? What do you mean you don't know what an iPhone is? And they'll be like, well, why the fuck would we?
Probably be on this podcast and we've still got 28 subscribers. That's so good.
Next week. At our current rate of growth, we should be at 100 within 5 years.
Phone calls.
We would have started Patreon by then.
In the future, kids will make phone calls just by thinking about it. Just connect.
Oh, well, that would be a nightmare.
That sounds awful.
The amount of times I think, I really should ring such a person. But then, immediately you'd have to be like, but the reason I don't is I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, quite. And so you had a true crime story.
Well,
you told me on Facebook Messenger.
This is it. Because does this classify, even though this is the theme, does this classify as true crime?
I think it
because we were going to make you watch a film, but we didn't because what you had sounded so enticing.
Right. Well, the film.
This is more like who does Bobby think he is?
Also, the films you recommended me sounded a bit shit. I'll be honest.
The Untouchable.
The Craigslist Killer is a shit film. I thought it was rubbish, and then the only credit I will give it is I looked it up in Wikipedia as I watched it, and it was just like a made-for-TV movie with like no budget. So like
I enjoyed it.
It was like, oh, this is, this is borderline good for a made-for-TV shit
But the
movie.
thing was,
I don't like stuff like that though.
They were the problem I had, Bobby,
Made for
is
TV
the
movies,
ones
huh?
you recommended.
No, just anything like that.
Bobby, the problem I had is
Just stuff. I hate stuff.
the ones you recommended didn't sound like they were on Netflix. I didn't check, but they didn't sound like they were on Netflix.
TCM on an afternoon.
Because you said they were old, and I was like, oh, fuck.
I'll tell you what I did.
The
watch.
Yellow Pages is not on Netflix, and that is why Dom
I'll
has
tell you
no
what,
interest.
So just going off subject a little bit, but on subject-ish. I did watch a very good film the other day, The Waterfront.
What's that about?
It's about a retired boxer.
How's that on subject?
It's about a retired boxer.
See this welcoming atmosphere, this kind of welcoming atmosphere that
Bobby,
we kind of get
stop
to
I don't
with
think
all
it's
our
not
guests.
true crime, but it's a very good film. It's Marlon Brando,
Yeah, this is from the 1950s.
1954.
I don't know about you, but this chair
Is it- it's
reclines.
called-
And it's word.
It's on the waterfront, isn't it?
On the waterfront,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you seen it?
I have seen it,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed it.
It's a good film, yeah.
I watched it Saturday afternoon, so.
Well, do you know what? I watched the golf earlier, so it's kind of on subject, isn't it? This chair reclines.
That is a true crime.
This chair reclines too much, in my opinion.
It's got a floppy back, this. I
Yeah.
like it, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Just
Not
relax.
So go on, what do
Chill
you
out.
want to talk
Well,
about?
Well, you told me on Messenger you had a story about the Titanic.
Yes.
So if you could elaborate.
So, it's a bit of a family myth, so to speak, but we do believe there's got to be some truth in it, hasn't there?
Right.
Say.
I
There's
don't know. I
gotta
haven't heard it yet.
Well, yeah, well, when I tell you. But it's one of those family stories
I already believe you.
that's gone round the block that much with the family, where I stumbled upon a guy who was doing something around the Titanic. Just stumbled upon this notice board. And I thought, right, I'll go to this. So I rung my dad and said, you know that family story that we have with the Titanic? There's a Titanic Society that talk about the Titanic and things that they keep finding out about the Titanic. So lost relatives, people that were on the ship, different stories, you know what I mean? Because when the movie come out, that got a lot of controversy because there was a guy who was shooting people on the deck and he was saying, that's not a true, my uncle didn't do that and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do you know? Because wasn't that many people there that survived.
Yeah.
And those that did got into lifeboats first.
But yeah, there was
the
there was a
story
few
around the
stories
Titanic
around
that I have is basically my father, his father, was supposedly on the Titanic and supposedly kiffed it on the Titanic. But when we've done a little bit of digging, he was a fire stoker. So therefore, he was a steam engine, and their job was very hot and very uncomfortable. And basically, he was in the bow of the ship, and he was chucking the coal in the fire to get the steam for the ship to drive the engines. But before I start talking more about what we think we know and what we think happened, so he's already a bit of a character because his name's William Murdock, but he insisted on being called Bill.
Right.
And he was a fire stoker.
Well, you were going to say Will then. I was going to say, what was
Bill. His name
Bill
was
Murdock
William,
is quite a cool name,
but
actually.
he insisted on being called Bill. Anyway, the ship was registered in Liverpool. So when you see any pictures of the Titanic, it says Liverpool. People think it was made in Liverpool. It wasn't. If I'm correct.
Where are you from?
I'm from Warrington.
Oh.
But all my mum and dad's family are from Liverpool. They're from Hatton. So I'm a big Liverpool fan and all that sort of stuff by sort of no choice, really. Thank God they were Reds and not Blues. But anyway,
Yeah.
the ship...
We would have been more welcoming to you if you were a blue.
Yeah, I'm in Chester. So the ship was registered in Liverpool. It says Liverpool on the back of the ship. But my grandfather, Bill, from what we gathered, he had a wife and a daughter and a son in Ireland. But he also had a wife and a daughter, son and daughter, in Liverpool. But he would only have his wages sent to Southampton. And then he would distribute a little bit for this one and a little bit for that one. So he's already a bit of a bastard, isn't he?
So it was because it was built in Belfast.
It was built in Belfast.
It was built in Belfast, registered in Liverpool, but then it took off from Southampton.
Yeah,
Maybe he
so-
just really liked Oceana.
Oceana.
The club in Southampton called Oceana. That's all I had.
But yeah, so he's already a bit of a rogue. You know, he's already a bit of a character.
And isn't that the true crime?
Being a character.
Being a character.
Or like Yoshiana.
Not showing enough love to your family.
So, Bobby, you're
or
very
showing
good,
too
you're
much
very good
love
at
to two families.
You're very good at speaking evenly to two people, I will say.
Yeah, I have to do it. Well, I'm used to speaking to audiences.
A lot more people.
A lot more.
To be honest, this is a pretty of a rubbish crowd.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough crowd.
Bad turnout. Bad ticket sales.
But yeah, so basically, the ship leaves from Southampton, and they were obviously trying to break the Atlantic crossing record, weren't they? So we all know the story. Wallop, it hits this iceberg, rips a hole in the ship.
Although a lot of people think that was a myth about the speed.
There's all kinds of.
There's loads of myths about it. But one of them is apparently that like some people blamed like the guy who ran the company because they said he was pushing for them to arrive a day early to break the speed record. So that's apparently bollocks. That like they were going at the speed they were expected to go at, and they just for various other reasons fucked up and didn't see.
Well, it could have been. I mean, the lad who was looking out for the iceberg was probably a young lad in a crow's nest. You know what I mean?
Also,
and it was foggy and all of that.
Because I'm enough of a history nerd to know random shit.
I feel like I'm out of my depth here. I'll be honest.
They didn't have binoculars.
Can we talk about board games now?
I'll get to the point in a second.
We'll get to the point, for God's sake. They were meant to have binoculars.
That was
they
so
just
Irish.
They just didn't. They're just like, oh shit, we forgot the binoculars. And there would have been loads of Irish on crew because it was done in Belfast. Yeah. There would have been loads of people going,
someone would have missed something.
We forgot the binoculars. Sure, fuck it. What can we possibly hit?
Someone would have missed something. So as you know, at that point then, during the journey, it hit this bloody iceberg, rips a hole in the ship. Now this is the fascinating thing. So when it rips the hole in the ship, obviously, when you see the movie, right, just to sort of bring people into it a little bit more, when you see the movie, obviously the water gushes in, but the first people to cop it in the movie are the sort of fire stokers, the job that Bill did. And I always said, and I've talked about this on stage, I reckon when it hit the iceberg, someone was shouting down on one of those little, you know, sort of funnel speakers, because I don't know if anything was electronic, like sort of microphone-wise or speaker-wise, but someone would have been going, stop, 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 we've hit an iceberg. Now, he could have been at the back for all I know, fire stoking away. But if he's anything like me, I reckon when someone just went, ah, 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 in the background, he went, yeah, I'll have a brew, and just fucking carried on. just carried on, stoking.
They hadn't even hit the iceberg by then. They were probably like 20 minutes away, and somebody went, stop, Bill, stop. And he was like, yeah, I'll have a tea.
Yeah, milk 2 sugars, fella, and just kept shoveling. So this is the fascinating thing. So from what we gather, and I've seen sort of like rough drawings of the Titanic and plans. There were steps that basically went all from the top of one of the funnels all the way down the ship. How many people survived? I don't know. I think.
So about 1,500 died.
Perished, didn't they?
I think there was about 2,000 on it. So
why didn't we just ask them?
Say that again.
Why didn't people just...
Well, you can't have just been to everyone. Did you know Bill? Bill don't stoke in the fire.
Did he have the tea in the end?
He took 2 sugars in his tea.
No, I mean, why is there so many conspiracies? Why didn't people just go to the people that were on it?
Because the thing is, there was a class system during those days, wasn't there? There was sort of
when was this?
1912.
1912. So there was a real class system. So the people that were on the bottom of the ship were the people that paid, you know, probably the equivalent of a couple of pounds, and then the people that were on the top sort of decks and like the main cabins would have paid hundreds of pounds even back in those days.
The Leonardo DiCaprios were on the third tier. And then the Kate Winslets were up in the posh bit with the big staircases and
this is what got our family talking about.
I've been to Auschwitz.
That is a different time. It's a completely different.
Well, I have been. Bill ended up in Auschwitz. No, I'm only joking.
Bill was, by the sounds of it, with all his family, he was in the car with some posh girl.
He was running the tour.
Yeah. He was selling souvenirs.
I'm Bill Murdock.
But anyway,
Bill was in the backseat of some car with a girl with her hand up against the windscreen.
I actually have
starting a third family. That's what he was doing.
I've got a funny story about old-fashioned cars in the day. I'll come to that in a bit. But anyway, so there was basically steps that went from the bottom of the sort of hull of the ship, as it were, like the fire stoking bit, and the steps that went all the way up. So he's got all the way up there. Right, and then it was women and children first on the lifeboats.
I'm assuming Bill's dead.
No, I'm presuming. No, this is why we think he survived. Because what happened was, obviously...
If he was in 1912...
No, he's dead now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm assuming he's dead now.
Yeah, he's dead
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Fucking
okay,
brown
good.
bread now. Well, this is the point.
Well, otherwise it'll be the story about your granddad being the oldest man in the
Well, I was
world.
going to say, can we get him on?
Yeah. Can we get him on?
Yeah.
He's here now. He's here.
Can
Calling
you
the
stop all
spirits.
these myths? Why can't we just ask him now?
So what we know happened basically, from what we can gather, he survived. So he would have got himself on a lifeboat, on a life raft, whatever. But it was women and children first. So the only thing I can
Have you met
suggest
him?
no one's bloody met him.
Okay.
But the whole thing is that from what we can gather and from the evidence that we gathered, he did survive. But when they would have got to America, he then ended up in Texas, from what we can gather. So his family back in Liverpool were informed that he was dead. And I imagine his wife back in Ireland was informed that he was dead. But apparently, the insurance money for someone like Bill, who died apparently, was between £6,000 and £12,000. So unless he got some way of getting the money equally distributed, that's a mystery. But the other thing is as well, that from what we found out, then from Texas, he's ended up in Australia and died in Australia in the 40s.
He's a fucking hero.
So he's a bit of a rogue. And
I didn't really
but what
know
I'm
that
Did he
thinking
die
is,
from doing,
how
was he
much
doing,
how
was he
much
doing coke
fucking
at a
need-
rave?
Yeah.
A
How
few
much-
blondies.
how much needle must he have been getting to have a wife in
Needle?
Ireland and a wife
Needle?
in Liverpool? Aggro?
What?
Aggro? Needle? Aggro?
Beef.
You've heard of that?
Yeah.
Beef?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine.
How much needle was he getting? So
Never heard that
basically,
before.
Yeah, but the thing
Oh,
is...
I thought you were talking about heroin, to be honest.
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, to have two families on the go, you need
much
to be
heroin was he doing?
wasted
but
on-
I've got a picture of him.
I thought, I've got some heroin. Is that what's
Yeah.
going
I've got
on?
a picture of him. I've not looked at this stuff for a while because
They've really come prepared.
just before I came, I went, "Oh, I wonder if I've got that in the office."
And that's why you're 20 minutes late.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So those are the pictures that I found,
Why is one way bigger than the other?
just because it's the way it was printed. That was the Titanic Society type of thing. But I think,
I think we should move it.
28 subscribers. It's actually 21. I'm lying.
yeah, I think I've got.
Up close with Lawless.
So what you've got to say is, does he look a little bit?
Hang on, Lawless. Let me pass you the rest of it. What's up?
That was the Titanic Society thing. But this is the best thing,
He hasn't even filled it out. How rude.
and I've
Just menace him.
this is the best thing. I've got it on my phone.
Have you been doing equations on that?
Yeah, I've got it on my phone.
Friday night gig. Widness. No one gives a shit. Do they?
So I've got it on my phone. That was, we believe, his signature on the ship.
Yeah, but he was probably faking his name if he had.
That was his signature off the ship there. William Murdock. That was his signature and all.
See,
of
I do very much love all this stuff. Like
that.
I really.
So it is a
do.
bit of a mystery.
But you have
the
no
whole
idea
thing.
how he ended up in Texas, and you have no idea how he ended up from Texas to
Australia.
Australia.
I want to know is, did he ever start a bar fight?
I reckon.
Oh,
what
I
I see.
reckon he did.
That's what I see.
Probably
I reckon he
sleeping
did.
with somebody's wife.
I reckon
Yeah.
he did too much shagging
Some hooer.
and too much drinking. But yeah, it's a fascinating story. But it's one of those things that if I ever had the money or could ever get it on BBC, who do you think you are?
Get,
Okay, a couple
a
more.
bit of who do you think you are going?
Probably get a
Great
couple more
episode.
venues and you'll be there.
Be there, mate. Yeah, definitely. No, I'd always say I'd like to try and follow his journey and what have you.
Yeah, because I'm really interested in like my family heritage, but as far as I can tell,
Sounds pretty dull.
nothing happened. Like, because apparently, if you do like, who do you think you are? They do scope it out. Like, you know, they don't just pick random people.
The TV
and then
show.
happen to find and then happen to find interesting things. They find people with interesting things and then ask them. So if they were, if they were going to ask one of us on, they'd look us up first, say, oh, look, we found this interesting story. Let's bring them on, and then they can just find it. And
Oh, I'd love to do
But
it. I'd love to.
there's nothing going on in the Lawless
Yeah,
family.
it's like when Billy Connolly used to do these travel programs. He said, I look windswept and interesting. He said, but some researchers done it all the hard work, and I just stand here and go, "Ooh, you go away." now,"
Oh, yeah.
and
It's
stand
just
in
like,
front of the camera.
they're obviously just told what to say, and then the camera starts rolling and they go, the fascinating thing about this building is whatever.
Yeah,
It's
But
just
some
like, they only
researchers-
just learned it 20
some-
seconds ago.
Yeah, some researchers done all the research. But yeah, I'd love to really try and dig more on it and almost get like a top investigator on it and really dig on that, because I think it'd make a great TV show, that, I think.
Well, I think Will Murdock sounds like a great TV investigator, so
Yeah.
what you really need is
Well,
him
Bill.
in his own case.
Bill or Billy?
Bill.
Yeah,
Bill Murdock's on the
But
case.
your name,
Definitely spoken
your
a
name is
cigarette.
CB on Facebook.
No, me real name isn't Bobby. That's
Is
just
it?
a stage name, just for the purposes of tax.
Oh. What's your real
Well,
name?
as long as you're not, speaking it out
Craig.
loud on
No, my
any
real
kind of
name's
recording.
Craig, but my middle name's Robert. But the
Okay.
reason why I've called myself Bobby as a stage name, because I used to play a lot of rugby league, used to play a lot of rugby, used to play a lot of football, and there was always 2 or 3 Craigs in the team. And someone said to me, what's your middle name? I was like, Robert. And the lads were like, no, it's Bob. So that was it. And then it just became Bobby. So when I went in the pub, it was just, all right, Bob. All right, Bobby. So it just stuck.
It does
And
sound. It does sound.
I think it sounds better for comedy,
Mm.
and it's a little bit more friendly and it's a little bit more memorable and all of that jazz.
Yeah, Bobby Murdock's better.
I think
It kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit, Bobby
it
Murdock.
rolls off the tongue a little.
There's something, it's kind of a nice thing to say, Bobby
Yeah,
Murdock.
Bobby Murdock.
Craig Murdock sounds.
Yeah, I did used to call myself that when I first started. I just didn't think it had any.
Craig Murdock.
Yeah, it just didn't have any.
It does sound
Is your,
tougher,
name,
actually.
is your real name Kieran then?
My real name is Kieran Lawless.
Yours is
Well, it's Dominic,
Dominic.
but yeah.
Hatton-Woods.
I was going to call myself Dom Woods, but Dick and Dom, Dick and Dom?
Yeah.
Dom, his name's Dom Woods. So
Oh,
I thought
right.
He's significantly more famous than I am. So.
Yeah.
For
I
now.
just- for now.
For now.
Or I could call. I
We're
could
coming
start,
for you,
I
Dom.
could start doing a Titanic
Okay.
act and call myself Billy.
Yeah.
But no, it's a funny thing, isn't it? It's a funny thing, stage names. Some people don't have one. Some people do have one.
But also going back to middle names, I was like in my 20s when I found out my dad's first name, because loads of people went by their second name.
Yeah.
Really?
I still have no idea why.
I
but it's
slag
very,
someone
very
off.
common.
I won't name the name and I won't name the nicknames and all of that.
Well, we've only got 21 subscribers.
But I
Gonna get back to you.
I slagged someone off the other day because someone went up to someone and went, all right, so-and-so. And then I was dealing with someone called something else. And I went, I'm dealing with this guy. He's doing my fucking head in. I said, sending him emails and I'm sending him calls and he's not replying. And he went, oh, that's me.
Oh, dear.
His mate had called him something else, by his
Yeah.
nickname. And I went, oh, shit. And I went, well, you're obviously a very busy man. You're obviously a very busy man. So, yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Some people do have a stage name, some people don't.
A few people have asked me if Lawless is a stage name. They go, oh, is it?
If it
Lawless?
works,
'Cause it's-
if it works.
But then
for you.
I always think, like, if I was going to pick up a stage name, especially if I was going to go Lawless because it's like badass and tough and like, yeah, I'm going for
That wouldn't
Lawless
suit
because it's
you.
fucking cool. Why would I go for Kieran? Why would I have gone Kieran first name? Yeah, I want to show that I'm kind of badass, rough, kind of don't play by the rules, bit of a crook, but also Kieran. It's very Irish and friendly.
It's like when you go in the when you go in the doctors or anything like that, and someone shouts out your name. You always feel a bit embarrassed, or like it's weird, isn't it, when your name goes up on the screen? But the funniest thing I
Same,
find,
I get that at Domino's.
yeah, if you're, but the funniest one I always find is when people take the pets to the vets. You know what I mean? And then the woman will go, "Can we have Scamp Murdock or whatever?" Fucking Scamp Murdock.
Is it
you got a
Mr.
pet- have you got-
Snuggles,
I used to have
Hatton-Woods?
I used to have a Yorkshire
You got
Terrier
a pet
called Scamp.
Scampy?
So she'd go, Scamp Murdoch. Or like you get like, can Ziggy Jones,
The fuck?
Ziggy
Budgie
Jones.
or something.
Pets have you admitting? They're just freaks.
I've got a goldfish now called Mr. Pickles, but we found out it's
It was such an achievement.
Mr. Pickles Murdoch.
50p.
Pickles Murdoch.
I don't imagine you have to bring a goldfish to the vet very often. I don't really know.
Have you got children?
Yeah, I've got kids. I've got one kid.
Sound enthusiastic about that.
Yeah. No,
You were more enthusiastic about the goldfish.
Yeah, you were.
You're like, I've got it. It's interesting. You didn't announce the kid. You were like, I've got a goldfish. I've got a Yeah, I've got one kid.
Goldfish are more amusing.
Are they?
Less fucking.
You've got a
hassle,
3
to
second
be
memory.
honest. Yeah. Although,
Yeah, but what have they got to remember for fuck's sake?
no, they haven't, have they? They haven't. No, but I've got one in a massive tank. And the reason why I got him was because he was going to get put in a bin at Pets at Home. And my mother-in-law rescued him and said, no, you can't put him in a bin. Because the woman took the goldfish into Pets at Home and said, I don't like it. Yeah. How can you not like a goldfish? And then she said, well, we don't take them back. You bought the goldfish. And she said, no, well, I'll go and put it in the bin outside. So my mother-in-law works at Pets at Home, and she followed her and stopped her putting it in the bin and said, "I'll take it." And that that was 5-6 years ago. Still in my house, swimming around in a massive.
It's not like getting a cat and then, I love a cat because I love cats, and then find it, it scratches me the whole time. I don't get on with this cat.
And then put it in the bin.
What the hell is it?
What's a goldfish?
Well, remember that lady a few years ago?
Put one in the bin.
who just randomly was just walking along and just threw the cat in the wheelie bin. And then became the most hated person in the country for like 2 weeks.
That was bad, that.
Chuck the horse in the bin.
Say that again.
Chuck the horse in the bin.
Horse in the bin?
Well, I just thought it was funny because you couldn't put a horse in the bin, could you?
That sounded like weirdly like a game show.
Huh?
I've never thought about it. I put an old version of
You
Buckaroo
couldn't put
in
a
the bin.
horse
Does
in a
that
bin,
count?
obviously.
I put a broken version of Buckaroo in a bin once. Does that count?
No.
No.
Sorry.
No, but it's horse in a bin.
Well, it's nice that we've got that true crime. Our true crime theme is
But it is a crime.
State.
It is a crime. Because if you think about it,
Well,
he's damaged a few people, hasn't he? He's damaged my dad's dad.
I thought you were still talking about the goldfish in the bin. That's what I thought.
No. But if you think about Billy and the Titanic story and all that, if you think about it, there's a few people that have been damaged by it. My dad's dad, for certain, because he thought his dad kiffed it on the Titanic when really he was in Texas. And obviously, the people who I'd love to find would be the relatives that he had in Ireland as well. Because obviously, having two wives.
And were they...
2 sets of kids.
Because he was a Murdock. Were they definitely Murdocks? But he went by the same name and done the whole...
Yeah.
He wouldn't have had a dual existence.
Well, we don't know.
Where he was...
But I bet
he was
there
Don Woods
I bet there was
in
a few
Belfast.
people called Murdock on the Titanic, but it's just based on what we've seen and based on like little snippets of information, and it all came from my dad's dad. Sort of just.
And it is interesting, like who would have got the money? Because if there was an insurance payout,
exactly,
because they would have been at least one family.
12 grand in 1912. That's a lot of money.
Oh, crazy money! Yeah,
that's crazy money. So
I could do a 12.
Did he?
You could do a 12 grand in 1912.
With him being that devious anyway, he was quite a devious chap. But what I mean is, did he somehow get the money? Because I imagine fraud in those days, if you knew what you were doing, fraud in those days would have been relatively easy.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything was, well, if it's printed, it must be right.
Yeah, they'll just take
so
your word for it.
all you'd have to find in those days, I imagine, is a very high quality printer. And there would have been loads of them. Because if you think about it now, social media and all that, that's how we get our messages out. But in those days, everything was print, wasn't it? Everything was print.
Have you ever seen the Ricky Gervais film, The Invention of Lying?
A good film.
Yeah.
There's just a scene in it where he walks into the bank and they're like, "Oh, it says you don't have any money." No, I do.
Yeah.
I have loads. I definitely have like 10 grand in there. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, sir. Our mistake." And
It's
just
a great film.
It's a great film.
I enjoyed it.
I imagine that it would be the same. Just like, give me my insurance money. Says here you're a family in Belfast. Got it. Don't have a family in Belfast.
He
Give me
could
12
have.
grand.
He could have said he was some lawyer. He could have said he was some sort of
You ever met Ricky?
aficionado. Have you ever met Ricky Gervais?
Yeah.
No, I'd like to though. He's a good egg. I think he's a good comic. I just find this.
Wonder if he'd come and
If
do
you
that.
don't like something, that's fine. Turn it off or fuck it off. I've always said if you don't like listening to something, same as someone doesn't like listening to this podcast, you can stop it.
that is not
Bang on it.
No, but do you know
Bobby,
what it
our
is?
21 subscribers are loyal.
Yeah.
No, but that's good.
You guys are true heroes.
Someone
You're
actually-
loyal.
Someone
you're
actually-
caring. Don't listen to this guy.
Someone actually commented on one of our videos saying that they saw me at a gig. And
That's
it was
nice.
good. That was
Well,
nice.
that's a nice thing. If someone
I enjoyed
discovers
that.
you on a podcast or whatever, and then they think, "Oh yeah, I'd go and listen to him on stage or tell a few gags," that's nice. But yeah, Ricky, I'd love to meet Rick. I'd love to work with him.
He's very famous.
Yeah, I think.
Do you reckon he come and close one of your gigs?
I reckon.
200 quid.
Yeah, I've had everyone work for me.
He can dump
Not
off
Ricky
the
Gervais.
podcast, by the way. We could do the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
And he could shoot over.
We
to
could
you,
come and do the
really.
Thursday new material. We could do a 10.
I reckon he'd do it. Yeah. But you know what? I'd tell
don't
you who
think he
does. I'd tell you who does the odd gig like that. Who just pops along and does new stuff, and I love it. Russell Kane.
Has he done it for you?
He's not done it for me. I've sort of indirectly asked him to do a few bits, but I reckon he'll come and do something. But the good thing is about Russ, all he wants, doesn't necessarily want a packed out room, just somewhere where he's quite he's all right. He's quite
He'll be done something.
he's quite thingy like that, and he will go and try just a little gig somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice. It's nice when people do that. I think if you can do it.
Well, we've got to wrap up now, Bob.
Right,
Have we got to
guys,
wrap up? Are we
first of
done?
all, Bobby, thank you very much. Dom Hatton-Woods, thank you.
How long have we done it for? How long have we done it?
Half an hour, but we've only got it to
You guys,
7:30.
Oh, have you? Right,
You do
okay.
not know how to sign off things, do you? That is just phenomenal levels. Of
We can do another one.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one.
Well,
When we
Bobby, of course,
and
we'll have you
obviously,
back.
if you turn up on time,
Yeah.
Guys,
Get this time.
please, you guys shut up. You guys listening, please like, subscribe, share the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, thank you so much to our fantastic guest, Bobby Murdock. And much
fun and
obliged,
stuff.
everybody. Thanks for
Much
listening.
obliged.